Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjalimanatosmi लये संबोधयेत् चित्तं विक्षिप्तं शमयेत् पुनः सकाशायं विजानीयात् समप्राप्तं न चालयेत्. Om. Dr. Sitaram Megaru sent me a text and then talking about in the context of Ishvara Pranidhana, his question was on the Gayatri Mantra. So let's try to connect the Gayatri Mantra and the various Gayatri Mantras which can be chosen for Ishvara Pranidhana. In fact, Mahanarayana Upanishad has got 12 Gayatri Mantras addressed to the different Devatas. So let us try to connect that to the sutra that we are studying. Sitaramaigaru's question is very relevant because we are talking about Tapaswadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. So then at his request, and I also thought that since it is very relevant to the sutra we are studying, I will actually respond to his question here rather than offline. So the Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana, the threefold practice, can be connected to the three important roots, the verbal forms of Gayatri Mantra itself. So in all the Gayatri Mantras, we have got Vidmahe, Dhimahi, Prachodayat. So these three keywords are there. So Vidmahe, for something for us to know, then on that particular concept that is given to us, we have to do japa. This is in the context of Ishvara Pranidhana. Suppose you want to meditate upon the Gayatri Mantra. So on that Savitru, you have got to go on doing the japa again and again. You want to understand Shiva, you must keep on doing the japa, Shiva, Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and so on. So Vidmahe can be mapped on to tapas. So then it's not simply repeating the name of the Lord. Ishvara Pranidhana will not happen. Every time we chant the name of Ishvara, it must also be a little bit of the knowledge of Ishvara should go on getting it. So how do we do that? Let's take the Gayatri Mantra of what we call as the Vishwamitra Gayatri. If you were to take even the Vishwamitra Gayatri, so what we do, we are going to chant Bhurbhuva Suvaha. So every time you are doing the japa, you say Bhurbhuva Swaha, Bhurbhuva Swaha, Bhurbhuva Swaha. You continuously say Bhurbhuva Swaha. So when we are doing this chanting of Bhurbhuva Swaha continuously, then you have got these three Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha. And every time we say Bhuhu in our japa, layers and layers of meaning should unfold. So let's try to form a list. These are called as Vyakhritis. Vyakhriti means Vishesha Akhriti Sangrahanam. That means where you collect in a perfect way. Suppose we say Bhurbhuva Swaha, you say Bhuhu. First time it is you think of the Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha. You think of the three Vedas. So Rig, Yajas, Sama. So Bhuhu Rig, Bhuvaha Yajas, Suvaha Sama. First time japa, one layer of meaning has got revealed. This is true tapas. Then you continue. In the second layer is Bhuhu is related to the earth, Prithvi. Bhuvaha is related to the atmosphere, Antariksha. Suvaha is related to the heaven or Dyuloka. Second layer. Then the third layer, Prithvi Sthana Devata, the Devata on the earthly level is Agni, the Devata in the atmospheric level is Vayu, the Devata in the sky is Aditya. Next time you say Bhurbu Swaha, 3 Devatas are meditated upon. Then we come to the fourth level and start looking inward towards ourselves. My walk, the speech, is Bhuhu. My mind is Bhuvaha. My prana is Suvaha. Then you go to the Swarupa of Parabrahman, Satchidananda, Sat, Chit, Ananda, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha. Then we have the Mahavakya, Tat, Tvam, Asi, Tvat, Tat is Bhuhu, Tvam, Asi. So like this, when we are doing the japa, when we are doing the tapas, layer after layer after layer, it will be unfolding. So this is Vidmahe, this is how we know. This is how the tapas has to be done. So you apply this to every devata that we are actually talking about. Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi, or Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi, Narayanaya Vidmahe. So let us know Narayana. How? In this way. And then you go to Dhimahi. How can I know all these various aspects mapped onto Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha? That I can know only by means of Shastra Adhyayana. That Adhyayana or meditation is Dhimahi, which is mapped onto Swadhyaya, so Tapas Swadhyaya. Then we have got the third aspect, which is Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana is Prachodayat. So Sitaramai Garu's question as to what is the relationship about the not one Gayatri Mantra but the number of Gayatri Mantras is, let us know, Vidmahe, we will know. Now again let's come back to its relationship to Yoga Sutra. In the first chapter, it talked about tapas. It talked about meditation. It talks about japa, repetition. For what purpose? Tad japaha tadartha bhavanam. Tad japaha, Ishvara's japa, repetition of Ishvara's japa along with meditation is for the sake of feeling of the meaning. So tapasvadhyaya Ishvara pranidhanani, tapas is Vidmahe, japa is so geared that each time we do the japa, the deeper and deeper meanings must get revealed to us. Then the japa is effective. So for sustained effort and for the sake of sustained motivation, for engaging our dhimahi, our intellect, in such a manner, we need grace. Not only we need grace of Ishvara, but we also need inspiration from Ishvara. This is obtained by worship. So in the yoga context, why should we worship? We should worship for dhimahi, for the sake of inspiration. And when we worship Ishvara with this awareness and by inspiration, then what happens? The japa with meditation and the inspiration and the blessing and grace of Ishvara will convert a person into a jnani. So, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Krishna is saying people approach Ishvara for different purposes. Artho jijnasur artharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritinarjuna. Whoever has taken to this meditation are sukritinaha, they are all worthy people. They are people who are punyavantas. So they have taken to this japa, but they approach Ishvara either begging for something, artaha, or just seeking knowledge, jijnasuhu, or seeking a benefit, artharthi, but also jnani. So, but a person who does tapasvadhyaya Ishvara pranidhanani in this manner, by engaging the mind in knowledge, becomes a jnani, tesham jnani nityayuktaha, who is always engaged in this contemplation. He is the one who has got the ananya bhakti, which we talked about last week. There is Ekanta Bhakti, there is Ananya Bhakti. This extraordinary state of Ananya Bhakti has been reached. So Krishna also says, Eka Bhakti Vishishyate. Therefore, because a person is in pursuit of knowledge only, in other words, Vidya only, such a person loves God. Who really loves God? A jnani is the one who really loves God. Everybody has got another expectation from God. Their bhakti is in that expectation, but not in God exclusively. There is no ananya bhakti. Therefore, Krishna is also says, I am the beloved of such learned people, and those learned people are also my beloveds. Why? Because they are in search for Vidya. Again, what is the context of Yoga Sutra? First thing is that Ishvara Pranidhana is Tajjapaha. For we are doing Ishvara Pranidhana so that we can understand who Ishvara is. And then secondly, in the context of the second chapter, which is Saadhana Paada, what are we looking for? We are looking for Samadhi Bhavanarthaha Kleshatanu Karanarthascha. Remember, we saw in the last class Samadhi Bhavanarthaha, so that we can actually experience total absorption Samadhi, and not only that, Kleshatanu Karanarthascha, so that all the kleshas are also weakened. In other words, how can kleshas be weakened and samadhi obtained only when the samadhi is completely absorbed in the object of the samadhi, which is Ishvara? Therefore, whichever Ishtadevata that we choose, by using the variety of the Gayatri mantras, that Ishtadevata, in that Ishtadevata, what is the Dhimahi that we do? The Dhimahi that we do is Ishtadevata transforms itself into Ishvara. And therefore, once the Ishtadevata transforms itself into Ishvara, we get into the realm of Yoga Sutra. Because this Ishvara on whom we are contemplating is free from all the kleshas. And how Tadartha Bhavanam takes place? It is because we are in the pursuit of Vidya, and whenever there is Vidya pursuit, Avidya gets chipped away. And Avidya is the fundamental problem for a non-yogi. So you can see how even in our religious practice of doing japa on a particular devata, as long as the dhimahi is there, as long as meditation is there, as long as from the gross to the subtlest, the gross is just the earth, Prithvi, gross vayu, gross akasha. From there we go to Tatatvam Asi. And every step of the way when we cross, then Ishtadevata Upasana goes towards Ishvara Pranidhana as laid down in Yoga Shastra, which is, the purpose of which is Avidya Nivaranam. But there is a central thought in all these Gayatri mantras, the 12 Gayatri mantras that Mahanarayana Upanishad takes place. What are those central things? That every thought which is presently involved in Arthakama, slowly that avidya of Arthakama must be chipped away and Dharma Moksha has got to be accommodated. So another purpose of Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana, besides chipping away the avidya, is also to turn the mind towards Dharma Moksha, interest towards Dharma Moksha. So in all other than the Vishwamitra Gayatri Mantra, Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, all other Gayatri Mantras, Narayanaya Vidmahe, Ekadantaya Vidmahe, all of those things, what are we pleading? Number one, we are pleading all these devatas, please initiate me into thinking. First prayer to Ishvara. Sir, please give me the skill to think. So therefore, how can we think in this way? For that the Shastra says it can be done only by Sadachara. What is Sadachara? Lot of times we think of Sadachara as being just noble, as being moral, ethical, etc. Sadachara is turning the mind from Arthakama to Dharma Moksha is Sadachara. Niti Shastra defines Sadachara differently. Vedanta Shastra defines Sadachara as turning our mind towards Dharma Moksha. And for that, the acharas or the particular observances also should be customized. In religion, Sadachara is defined as so many other things, the ritual, framework of ritual, the rules of ritual, etc. But in the Vedantic perspective, what is Sadachara? The commitment to say that my achara should lead me to the understanding of Dharma, not just practice of Dharma. This is the meaning of the Vishnu Sahasranama mantra, Acharah Prabhavo Dharmaha, Dharmasya Prabhurachyutaha. So in Ishvara Pranidhana through Gayatri mantra is number one, it is a petition, please initiate me into proper thinking. Second petition, Ishvara Pranidhana's second characteristic, which is more closer to Yoga Shastra than even Dharma Shastra, is please help me control my wandering mind and senses. Because ultimately Yoga Shastra is controlling the mind. Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So how do we do? In this context, some of our great thinkers have provided means. You might have all heard of a very great reformer. We have talked about it, Basavanna of Karnataka. Basavanna of Karnataka was born in a very orthodox Brahmin family, but he also saw that everything was ritualistic, homa, havana, and all that. But at the same time, there was a lot of arrogance among these Brahmanas. They were claiming privileges of the society without the eminence required of a Brahmana. So all these things was frustrating to Basavanna, who was himself a Brahmana by birth. And so he truly turned his mind towards this Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. In Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana, there is a beautiful way in which he makes Ishvara Pranidhana or prayer. In this prayer, he is asking for controlling his wandering mind and senses. So I'll quote this Kannada and give you a translation. Attalitta hogadante helavana madaya. please make me a lame person so that I cannot go here and there. So what does it mean in the context of Ishvara Pranidhana and Tapas? It means I will not get out unless there is a very specific purpose. First step. You can go for a walk, you can go to the gym to make your body firm and good. There is a purpose there. Without any purpose, don't go anywhere. Attalitta pogadante helavana madaya tande. Sutti sulidu nodadante andakana madaya tande. Make me blind so that I do not have a roving eye. And then mattanda keladante kivudana madaya. Make me deaf so that I do not hear of anything other than aspects of knowledge, whether it is vijnana or whether it is jnana, philosophy or science. What is the use of gossip? Nimma sharanara padavallade anya vishaya kelesadante irisu. Other than people who are in a similar journey, don't put me among them. Kudala Sangamadeva. So the second standard of Ishvara Pranidhana is by asking for Ishvara's help to control both our mind and senses. I might have quoted this beautiful Subhashita. This is a Sanskrit Subhashita. You have heard in all music concerts the mridangam. In the mridangam, it makes sound dik, dik, dhan, dhan, dik, dik. So dik means to say, fie on you. I don't like this. Stop this. So it says, Yesham Srimad Yashoda Sutta Pada Kamale Nasti Bhaktir Naranam. Yesham, for those people, Yashoda Sutta Pada Kamale, in the lotus feet of the son of Yashoda. Nasti Bhaktir Naranam, those human beings who have no bhakti, dik, dik, dik. Yesham Abhira Kanya Priyaguna Kathane Nanurakta Rasajna, those who do not have a tongue, which revels in the taste of singing the name of the lover of the gopis. Dik, dik, dik. Yesham Shri Krishna Leela Lalita Guna Rasaswadane Sadarau Naiva Karunau. Those ears which are not interested in listening to the lovely stories of Shri Krishna, dik, dik, dik. Diktan, diktan, dhigetan, kathayate satatam, kirtanastho mridangaha. Satatam kirtanastha mridangaha. Mridanga, which is always in tune with kirtana. That mridanga is telling me constantly as to how to control the mind. So again, what is this tapas? Suppose you say Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi. All the sense organs must be geared and alerted towards the knowledge of Narayana only. And the Vyahritis Bhurbhuvasvaha, I gave a list of how to see. Everywhere when we see Narayana, then Ishvara Pranidhana has taken place. So at this stage, what happens? The prachodaya, the prachodana or the inspiration will, what happens is, our Ishta Devata will be seen as Ishvara and a sectarian deity is seen as Paramapurusha, and where all the devatas are embodied in Ishta Devata. So you might have seen a beautiful portrait of Kamadhenu, whose body is all painted with are made with the various devatas. So the fourth feature is when we do tapaswadhyaya Ishvara pranidhana, we also have to use the plural pronoun as. Naha, diyo yo naha prachodayat. Not just I, not just me, it is us. Because what is the problem with avidya? Later on we are going to see avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhiniveshani, klesha. As soon as I say I, me, then immediately raga comes, mine. So therefore it has to become universal. So to make it universal, Gayatri Mantra says Naha Prachodayat. It did not use the word Vaha. Vaha is plural you. There also there is ego. So the Gayatri Mantra made it us. That means even all the you is all merged in the me, making it us. This is what actually Krishna spoke in the 5th chapter, 7th verse of the Bhagavad Gita as Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. This is what we studied in the last Gita class. So in summary, whatever tool we are using, whether we are using one of the Gayatri mantras of a particular Devata or the Vishwamitra Gayatri, or abstractly thinking about Ishvara in the context of Yoga Sutra, Ishvara Pranidhana has succeeded when the Bhakta has become one with its object of meditation. This is the purpose of Gayatri Mantra. Of all Gayatri Mantras, you start with an individual Ishtadevata, and from individual Ishtadevata, you go to Paradevata, and then you yourself become Vishwatma. Until such time a person becomes a Vishwatma, he has not achieved the mastery over kleshas. So with this background, if you study the Yoga Shastra here, Samadhi Bhavanarthaha, for the sake of experiencing Samadhi and for the sake of weakening of the kleshas by such tapas, which is Chintana Shakti. Tapas is called Chintana Shakti or contemplation. Then what happens? The seed of ignorance is actually toasted. When the seed of ignorance is toasted by tapas, by Chintana Shakti, then what happens is it will never be able to sprout any further. Otherwise, we will have, even if you leave a little bit, in fact, we have a beautiful Subhashita which says, Shatrushesham Runashesham. Shatrushesha and Runashesha. Runashesha means even if you owe somebody $1, that is bound to cause us sorrow in due course. And Shatrushesha, even a small child, baby of the enemy is left. We have seen this in a lot of places in politics. The whole family is wiped out. Many times we say that, okay, you can kill Saddam Hussein, but why kill his children? Why kill his grandchildren? Chanakyamiti says Shatrushesha and Runashesha should never be left. But in the context of Yoga Sutra, even a little bit of avidya will eventually manifest into a huge tree. Because avidya is kshetram, as the next sutra says, avidya kshetram. What it will do, everything will sprout once again, just like our weeds. So, to help us understand how this happens, Mahabharata is an extraordinary text to understand. In the Mahabharata, Vedavyasa himself says in Aranya Parva, Duryodhano Manyumayaha Mahadrumaha. There is Duryodhana, who is a huge tree. Skandaha Karna, its trunk is Karna. Shakunihi tasya shakha. Shakuni is the branches. Dushasana pushpapale samruddhe. Dushasana is the enormous amount of fruits and flowers. Moolam Raja Dhritarashtra Amanishi. The root is Dhritarashtra, who is very, very weak in his mind. So what was Vedavyasa's teaching when he created this group of 5? We call it Chatushtaya, but here is a group of 5. We have Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, Karna, Shakuni, Dushasana. Now let us map this to kleshas. The kleshas are 5 in number. Avidya, Asmita, Ragadvesha, Abhiniveshani. So who is Avidya here? Dhritarashtra is Avidya. How does he show? You don't see any direct activity of Dhritarashtra. He is not involved in war. He did not want even the Divya Chakshu to see the war. Vedavyasa comes and says, Vidhi has made you blind. I can change even fate. That is my tapashakti. This is a very important statement, please note. A Maharshi can change Vidhi. So here comes Vedavyasa, I will change your Vidhi and I will give you eyesight. What is avidya? Avidya is, even if all wisdom is available immediately and you have a Paramaguru in front of you, all of these things are there, still a person doesn't want to learn. And who should be the most sad person of all that this situation is there? Isn't it Vedavyasa? Because after all, Dhritarashtra is his son. Kauravas are his grandchildren. So is Pandu and his children. They are all his children. And he knows he is going to witness a carnage. And the carnage of his family, his own family. But his concern was not about his own family. His concern was Bharatiya Samskriti. It was going to be a collapse of the Samskriti. And he saw the root of that avidya in Dhritarashtra. Therefore he said, you are the root. Moolam Dhritarashtro Amanishi. So we have this Dhritarashtra. Where are the areas in which he has shown his avidya? Say, for example, when the Draupadi was dragged. When Draupadi was dragged, before that, there were 2 innings of the dice. In the first innings, Yudhishthira had pawned all immovable objects. His ratha, his jewels, and his rajya, and that was all lost. In the second innings, he started pawning living beings. Horses, elephants, children of Draupadi, 5 children of Draupadi, his own children, his brothers, himself. and the Kulavadu Draupadi. When all these things were gone, 9 different sets of human beings were already pawned and lost. The rule of the game is there must be 10 times 10 stakes has to be put, and after that only the game will be over. Duryodhana asks, where is the 10th one? Until that the game is not over. Then he says, I am going to pawn Draupadi. Before the dice was to be cast, Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, who was sitting next to him, did my son win Draupadi? What a terrible man is this person. Kulavadu, his own daughter-in-law. And now he says, did Duryodhana win? Even before the dice was cast. You can see to what extent avidya can go. I can give a number of instances where Dhritarashtra is the very embodiment of avidya. Vedavyasa has deliberately created these 5 characters to teach us how to know avidya. Now the next is asmita. That is ego. What is this ego? This ego is Duryodhano Mahadrumaha. This huge tree, Duryodhana, he is the embodiment of ego. He calls himself as I am Abhimana Dhana. That means my wealth is pride. Actually, what he displays is the wealth of his vanity. From where did that come? It came from the root. And which is the root? The root is his father. Asmita. Sri Krishna calls Karna. And then he says, hey Karna, you are the eldest Pandava. But his attachment to Duryodhana, Raga. His attachment to Duryodhana was so intense that he is ready to die but not accept the reality that he is the eldest Pandava. So Karna represents Raga. Then we have Shakuni. Shakuni is, though our perception of Shakuni is that he masterminded the destruction of Pandavas, actually he masterminded the destruction of Kauravas. Because he knew very well, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruvani Tirmatir Mama. Wherever Sri Krishna is there, that's where Jaya is there. Wherever Vidya is there, that is where success is. But Shakuni is very, very upset with Bhishma for having brought his sister and marrying forcefully by using his influence so that he married his blind Dhritarashtra. So Dvesha is represented by Shakuni. Then you have Dushasana. For Dushasana, his is actually the Abhinivesha, the clinging. He's clinging to the other 4. So Bhagavan Vedavyasa creates these 5 characters to talk about the kleshas. So for a tree there must be a bija, there must be a seed. Who is that seed for this bija? Actually the seed is Bhishma Pitamaha. If we have to make choices. Choices which affect our family, or choices which affect the culture itself. What should we choose? We have to choose this side of culture. Dharmashastra says, Kulasyarthe tyajet putram. If you see that culture is being destroyed, we must alienate even our own children. Alienate means not physically alienate, mentally alienate. That is all. You cannot physically alienate because of the filial love we have. Gramasyarthe tyajet ekam. To protect the culture, we have got to distance ourselves from a adharma putra. And that Dhritarashtra doesn't do. As a matter of fact, when Gandhari was about to deliver, all the evil omens were seen. And Vedavyasa comes and says, actually, just abort this child, we don't want this. But then look at the Putra Moha. So the Mahabharata, we can trace the seed to Bhishma, because Bhishma catered to the lust of his father Shantanu, and then he goes and does a pratijna, to the great detriment of the entire dynasty. Just imagine if Bhishma Pitamaha did not make that Bhishma pratijna and make the promise, and if he had taken the throne, there would have been nothing for Krishna to do. Because Dharma Samsthapana was not in jeopardy in the hands of Bhishma Pitamaha. So that one decision, avidya moolam, that one decision that Bhishma took, it needed Krishna to come and set the clock back. So avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhinimeshani, kleshaha. Bhagavan Vedavyasa created these 5 characters without mentioning about Bhishma. But ultimately what happened? Sri Krishna masterminded that even Bhishma Pitamaha must die. Many people have asked me, he is such a devotee of Sri Krishna. He is the one who gave us Vishnu Sahasranama. Why did Krishna allow him to die? This is what is meant by the avidya bija should be fried so that it will never spout. Without destroying the existence of the bija, again it should not sprout. So what does Krishna extract from Bhishma? He extracts moksha dharma. He extracts Vishnu Sahasranama. And that was necessary for the preserving of the dharma. Then he gets rid of his body. This is the beauty of Mahabharata. Then why did he protect Dharmaraja? Dharmaraja actually did the most heinous act of pawning his wife. In fact, Draupadi asks him, how can you pawn your wife when you have lost yourself? How can you own me when you are not your own owner of yourself? He had no answer for that. But still Krishna protects him. The reason is dharma samsthapanarthaya, you must choose the lesser of the evil, number one. Number two is you must choose somebody who is malleable. You will see this in Chanakya Niti also. Chanakya chose Chandragupta not because he was a perfect man, but he was the best available. Chandragupta was the best available in the circumstances. And Dhanananda had to be put down. So we have a counterpoint when avidya is absent, when the moola is vidya, then what kind of a tree is that? The very next verse in Mahabharata says, Yudhishthiro dharmamayo mahadrumaha. Yudhishthira is the manifest dharma vriksha, skandho arjunaha. The trunk is Arjuna, bhimasenaha asya shakha. Madre sutau pushpaphale samruddhe. Nakula Sahadeva are the ones who gave beautiful flowers and fruits. Moolam Krishna. The root is Krishna. And Vedavyasa doesn't stop there, because Krishna is also a historical figure. Today Krishna is there. 5100 BC, 32 years after now, Krishna also will die. Vedavyasa knew this, so he did not stop there. He said, Brahmacha Brahmanascha. Moolam, the root is Krishna, and then Brahmacha, Brahma means Veda, Brahmanascha, those who know Veda. Veda in its true sense, not just to chant some mantras. Even a tape recorder chants mantra. Brahmacha, Brahmanascha. As long as this root is there, the dharma vriksha will not collapse. So here you see again, counter to avidya is Krishna. Counter to asmita, ego, the most egoless person. He says, because of me, so many 18 Akshauhini Sainya has been perished. Therefore, sir, I don't want this kingdom. So counterpoint to asmita is Yudhishthira. Raga, attachment was there initially in the mind of Arjuna. But Bhagavat Kripa, here is Ishvara Pranidhana. What Bhagavat Kripa does is, this raga is converted into prema. Then Bhimasena, he has dvesha, no doubt about it. Because we have seen his gory acts in the war. But that dvesha is for a higher cause of Ishvara Pranidhana. It is the scalpel of a surgeon. It's not coming out of hatred. In fact, Madhvacharya in the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya writes beautifully, saying that Tattvajnane Vishnu Bhaktau Dhairye Sthairye Parakrame Bhimasena Samo Nasti Senayor Ubhayorapi. Tattvajnane, in the knowledge of reality. Tattvajnane, Vishnu Bhaktau, in the love for Ishvara. Dhairya, Sthairya, Parakrama. Bhimasena Samo Nasti. There is no equal to Bhimasena in both these sides. Senayor Ubhayorapi. Beautiful, beautiful insight of Madhvacharya. Outwardly it looks like dvesha, but inwardly there is no dvesha at all. Because if dvesha was the characteristic of Bhima, he is boiling with anger when Dushasana is dragging Draupadi, and with anger he turns to Yudhishthira and says, I'm going to finish him right now. Then he was trying to get up. And this bad manager, he disables the eminence of Bhima and say, quiet. This is not time to fight. If dvesha was predominant, he would have disobeyed his father and gone and killed Dushasana right there. So you can see he also has got enormous amount of self-control. Dvesha is achieved by self-control. Then we have got the Abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is actually represented by Nakula Sahadeva. The Abhinivesha was clinging to Dharma. So we have these two verses in the Mahabharata, Aranya Parva, that Vedavyas Maharshi juxtaposes to make us understand what is avidya. And then these kleshas actually can be handled with the help of a story. So if we study the Mahabharata, the 5 characters on both the sides, then Chintana Shakti arises. Klesha exists, but it does not bother a yogi. We will be naive to think that hardship doesn't come just because we practice Kriya Yoga. Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani does not remove dukkha. It will be there, but the yogi becomes a sthita dhihi, a sthita prajna. In Bhagavad Gita terminology, for a person who has managed these 5 kleshas, dukkeshvanudvignamanaha, sukheshu vigataspruhaha, vitaraga bhayakrodha, sthitadhir munirujyate. It will be undisturbed by the miseries that come from the 3 sources, Adi Bhautika, elemental, Adi Daivika, fate, Adhyatmika, from inside also. A person is not carried away, he is not blinded. So when this has been achieved, Yoga Shastra is saying, what is the mental state of the yogi? The mental state of the yogi is he has got a clear understanding of the Purusha and Prakriti. So he gets out of the clutches of Prakriti by means of Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana, and then he will actually invest his bhakti in the Purusha. So this is what happens. So for all these things, we talked quite a bit about Ishvara Pranidhana, but we have to talk about Swadhyaya. So what exactly is the characteristic of the Swadhyaya? Swadhyaya can be of 2 kinds. One is where we actually study the scripture and from the scripture design a lifestyle. But Yoga Shastra is interested in self-introspection. Again, let us not forget the fundamental thrust of Yoga Shastra is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Whose Chitta Vritti Nirodha? My Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So if it is my Chitta Vritti Nirodha, whom should I study? Any amount of study of Bhagavad Gita Upanishad is incidental to my own study. So I have to study, so we can take the etymology of the word Swadhyaya as Swasya Adhyanam Swadhyaya, the study of myself. Textual study, what it does is, it will give us the means, the tools and the algorithm of how to introspect. But introspection has to be done by myself in Swadhyaya. Therefore, from textual study, what do we expect? What we expect in Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana is, can I become a witness of myself? Only when I become a witness of myself, I will be able to identify in me how much of avidya is there, ragadvesha, abhinivesha are there. Therefore, This avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhiniveshani are called the pancha kleshas. Now, one of the important methodology I have followed in the study of the second chapter is every important observation made in the first chapter gets a commentary in the second chapter. He uses the word in the second chapter, kleshas, avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhiniveshani, kleshaha. But that has to be linked to the first chapter where he says, klishta aklishtaha, chittavartayaha, panchatayaha, klishta klishtaha. So whatever creates the klishta state of the mind is avidya. Whatever creates the aklishta state of mind is vidya. So in the first chapter only the theory was placed saying that you control the chitta vritti so that you will neutralize the klishta vrittis and create the aklishta vrittis. But then in first chapter they did not say what are klishta vrittis. Klishta vrittis are indicated here as five kinds of klishta: avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, abhiniveshani. What was the term used for these in the first chapter? You see the 8th sutra. Now comes the expansion of the 8th sutra. He called it as viparyayaha. Viparyaya means wrong knowledge, incomplete knowledge, confused knowledge. Viparyaha mithyajnanam atadrupa pratishtham. That's why I truly encourage that all of us should memorize the Yoga Sutras, because it's so beautiful and it's so short that whenever we get any confusion, we can always recall and connect the dots. Mithyajnanam atadrupa pratishtham. That means what is wrong knowledge? Wrong knowledge is in a unit of, in an object, we see something that is not there. So whenever we see something that is not there, mithyajnana, that mithyajnana we must know to identify. For example, I'll give a simple one which we very quickly identify. Suppose you are standing in front of a pond on a beautiful moonlit night, you will see 1,000 reflections of the moon. If you don't look up, you will never know that there is only one moon. This is an Adi Bhautika observation, very easy to understand, that as there is only one moon, but it looks like 1,000 moons because of the reflection. So this is easy. Suppose you are going in a mall and in front of you, you see a person with a short haircut, dressed in a man's clothes. Then you conclude there is a man going. Then you go a little closer, you will find it's actually a woman. So until such time you saw that this person was a woman, it was a mithyajnana that you inferred that it is a man. So what does this mithyajnana do? And the removal of mithyajnana, what does it do? Any knowledge that is of direct perception, which is pratyaksha, any knowledge that is inferred, which is anumana, and any knowledge that has been given to us by a trusted source, all of these three things are subject to the test whether it is creating a mityajnana. So how is this relevant? Please again go back to the first chapter. What did this first chapter said? Pratyaksha anumana gama pramanani. Pratyaksha, direct perception; anumana, inference; agamaha, trusted source, are the pramanas, ways of knowledge. But when direct perception, pratyaksha, anumana, and then agama is subject to tapasvadhyaya ishvara pranidhana, then mithya jnana viparyaya will get removed. What a revolutionary idea. The revolutionary idea is, even if you see something in a Shastra Vakya, subject it to tapasvadhyaya ishvara pranidhana. Otherwise, mithya jnana will happen. This is the brilliance of Patanjali Maharshi. We will see more in our next classes.